Cool.
I don't know if Mario told you. With one of the students in this class, she asked me to like very specifically help her a lot. So I might be more focused on her today just because her practice is you'll see it, but like
Shoshana?
yeah. So,
She used to, when we were at Sanctuary, we were, oh, probably should not have said that. No one signed on yet, I don't think. Cool. From Sanctuary days, so
okay.
yeah, some familiarity.
Yeah.
But great, especially if there's an ask for it, that's awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
So let me make sure I got stuff up here. But that strap.
Get off this thing.
What's that? I don't really use it. I think we're probably fine with the. I think since I'm walking around, I'll be able to take a look at it that way. Two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10, 11, 12. All right, cool. Most everyone is here already. We'll give it another minute. Yeah, if you want to sit on that, I was just going to sit toward more the middle here. I said we'll move this to the side, and you can come fully in after you do that. But just for the first part, you don't have to not sit beside me. If you want to sit down, I was just saying, so we're spread out a little bit.
It'll look better on the camera.
How long have you been demoing? A month. Oh, all right, so brand new.
I don't know when sometime this summer.
All right, cool. I was checking with her just about stuff that happens during class or not. You probably, I guess you also don't know really what's coming when you're leading. I do have a class generally planned, but I'll ask people if there's anything that they would like to add to it. When I get into sitting poses, I'm usually trying to get people who are interested in, at least prepared for the possibility for Padmasana or lotus pose. So lots of hip openings and like crossing over at the knees and shins and such. But we'll do a lot of things before we get there. Not that people have to go in that direction. I also, in my intermediate class, give people space to turn their bridge pose into shoulder stand, which is not always a thing that shows up in other classes here. It is just an option, and so ultimately you get to also decide what you want to do with everything. And if you aren't demoing shoulder stand, most people aren't going to be able to see that anyway, because they're going to be in bridge and hopefully looking up at the ceiling. So that's what we'll have happening here. All right, so I think everyone's just going to watch later on here. There's no one signed on. All right, cool. Welcome, everybody. As I mentioned here, Mariel's out this week. She probably said so as well last week and the week before. So I'm subbing here for her. We've got Camden demoing up front, Melissa moving around, giving some support. I'll also be moving around some to give some support. Definitely, though, making sure if you know it's part of your practice and needs for to have 2 blocks, a blanket, strap, bolster. If you don't have those things and you would like them, there's 3 of us up here. We can get some stuff here for you. Are there any? I have a planned class. Earlier this week, I was doing things, as I was saying, winging it, but not really winging it, because everything lives in my head here is 15 years of yoga practice. So I was asking around for what people wanted because I was not going to plan 5 different classes for the whole week, and I've seen a lot of faces here across different classes. Any wants or needs for people from your practice today, either physical or mental? We can put that in, yes. There's some places we can do that. So crow, a little bit of arm balance work, hands, wrists, shoulders, elbows, with some cool alternatives for that now after going to flight school last weekend with Khalif. Any other asks that people might have for your practice here? All right, as Mariel also says, this is not a once down, forever hold your peace way of doing this. So if you're moved to want something or something rises for your awareness, you're more than welcome to shout it out, and we'll bring it into the practice. All right. All right. So everybody who's going to be watching online will be watching later. We wanted to start with today was to do a little bit of alternate nostril breathing work. And if you're familiar with it, if there's any reason why you should not be doing or not comfortable with doing some pranayama or breath work, taking a an even breath in and out without any of the extra stuff will be fine. There's lots of reasons for us to not do that. Also a little bit of a different opportunity for something that we can do here with that. Should be good for everybody? I asked if there were people there was wants or needs for people. Is there anybody who is new to the studio today? There's definitely some people new to me. There's some people new to me again from Sanctuary going back 4, 5, 6, 7 years now. Welcome. Anybody new-ish to the studio? Is there any physical things going on I should be aware of? Your name is? Carolyn. Carolyn? Hi. Welcome. You are new to this first class here?
I'm doing the 2-week.
Oh, all right. Nice. So you're hopping around and checking some things out. Very cool. So I'm subbing, right? So I have a different way of teaching than Mariel does. All teachers have their own kind of voice. If there is something that doesn't feel right to you, doesn't feel familiar, it's just not what you're used to, if you want to back out of what we're doing and get into it in a way that you're familiar with or that your body is able to get into, and this is true for everybody, we don't just have to follow the things that the teacher is saying. Because ultimately we want to listen to our own breath and our own body. I'm here to guide us through practice, and each of these poses is a different opportunity to experience and express what is possible for your body. So listening and checking in with that will be one of the messages that is a big part of class today. So thank you. Anybody else should be aware of any sort of limitations or issues in bodies? All right, if you don't want to say anything out loud, if I'm walking by and you want me to know something or aware of something, just get my attention. I'll pause for a second to give you some space to talk with me. So welcome everybody. Whatever your comfortable seat happens to be, maybe it is just as you're seated now. You can stay here like that. You can switch the cross of your legs, or you can find whatever feels right for you to embody Sukhasana without it having to just be crossing at the ankles or the shins. And I was mentioning here about alternate nostril breathing. There's 3 different options that we have here, depending on how things feel in your body and in your right hand. First option is to bring your index finger and middle finger to the center of your palm, with the thumb to the right side, to the right nostril, and the inside of your ring finger just touching on the left nostril. If this is uncomfortable with the fingers, you can also have your middle and index finger up, connecting to your third eye. Final option, if you are well into a pranayama practice, you are able to or interested in trying to do alternate nostril breathing without the support of your hands. You can notice, it's something I've been noticing more over time, that I can more intentionally, not completely, but more intentionally breathe into one nostril and out through the other. So those are just the 3 different options that we have. Welcome. I'll bring some stuff to you. Just have a seat wherever you want to. So with your comfortable seat, your right pointer finger and middle finger either touching the palm or going to touch your forehead or third eye. Bring the ring finger to the outer left nostril, the thumb just to rest on the right nostril, and wherever you happen to have your ring or your pointer and middle finger, let it rest where it feels. You can let the left hand rest palm down or palm up on your lap or wherever feels comfortable. And just take a nice exhale out. Close the left or the right nostril ever so slightly. Inhale through the left. Close the left. Release the right and exhale out through the right. Keep that open as you inhale through the right. Close the right slightly. Exhale out through the left. And just move at your pace and your breath here in this way. If it does feel uncomfortable, if pranayama work starts to feel like restricted breath and brings up any sort of anxiousness in the body, simply release the hands and come to a more natural and even breath. And so the mudra that we're using here is Vishnu mudra. Part of this is very much rooted in clarity and focus and activating different halves of the body. And part of how we are moving here through our practice today is with an awareness of intuition, right? What it is that we can notice when we listen to ourselves, connecting to your third eye with the fingers or just with alternate nostril breathing is doing just that. And from this place of grounding to activate intuition and listen to our body, we will have the opportunity throughout the practice here to then move into a more expressive version or form of any of these poses because we are grounded in our awareness of what our body wants and what we are capable of doing. We'll just do this for about another minute. If you're getting tired with the wrist and would like to just come to a natural breath, give yourself all the space you need to do that when you need to. And if you are still here with it, your exhale out through the right will be how you end. At that point, you can release the hands and simply let yourself breathe naturally. Bring your hands to rest on your lap, hands down or palms up, whatever feels right for you. And just notice how it is to be in your body in this moment. Simply breathing with the rest of us here in the room. Be aware of where your body is in this moment. Like a map at the mall, you are here so that all of the decisions, all of the choices that are offered to you throughout this practice are ones that you are making from this grounded place of knowing where you are in this moment, not where you have been in the past and not where you would like to be in the future. Let your next breath in be fuller than the last. Maybe bringing hands to heart center here with the fingers spread wide in Anjali Mudra. So you've done Vishnu Mudra for clarity and focus. We have Anjali Mudra here for self-reverence. If there are any other intentions that have brought you to the practice here today, place them in the space between the hands in your Anjali Mudra. The shoulders descend down the back as you feel the chest, the rib cage, the sternum lift toward the thumbs. And on your next exhale, release the hands down by your sides. Let the eyes flitter open or let your gaze become a little bit more focused if you had a soft and unfocused gaze. We're going to get started here in Baddha Konasana. So as we maybe still find ourselves on our seat, I'm going to move up to the side. Camden's going to be doing the, I guess, demoing. It's essentially that, right? I'll do some stuff on the side here, maybe as needed. Find ourselves in Baddha Konasana. You can make use of blocks here if you need to. It's pretty early in the practice. We're going to have the legs out in front of us. Bend the knees as you bring the soles of the feet to touch. Let the feet be wider or further away from you if that is where you are today. With thumbs alongside your fingers, take hold of the fronts of the ankles or the shins And draw shoulder blades on the back to pull and draw the heart a little bit more forward. And as you do so, you can let the right knee reach a little bit more to the right and down. The left knee reaching a little bit more to the left and down. Letting both knees be heavy. Get strong here through your core. Feel belly button draw in and up ever so slightly. To sit a little taller, lengthening out the low back. If Ujjayi breathing is part of your practice, you're more than welcome to bring this into the practice at any point that is right for you. And if you find yourselves out of it, you can always catch back up to it. There's nothing that says you have to do it nonstop for the entire time you're here with the practice. And if little movements through the legs feel nice, just allow yourself to settle. We're going to do a twist here in just a second. So we want to feel good in the hips. On the next inhale, we'll take right hand across towards the left knee-ish. Doesn't have to be totally over in that direction. Right hand comes behind you. Inhale to lift tall, finding lots of space here through the spine. And on the exhale, allow yourselves to twist. Notice how the inhale wants to bring us out of the twist. Let the next exhale take you a little deeper into the twist. Using a block behind you, nice, coming up with the finger pads, whatever helps to give you length and height here. Let your next exhale be deeper, whatever that means, deeper awareness or deeper movement. And the inhale that follows the fuller breath naturally unwinds us. We pause back in the middle. And on the next inhale, we'll reach to the opposite side. The exhale is where we really start to find the twist, the engagement in our core. Being mindful in the twist, the side that we're moving away from probably wants to lift a little bit. And can you stay a little heavier on that side? And just about 3 breaths here again. Anyone who's ever had me in class before knows I say things like 3 breaths, and then I talk for 30 seconds, and it's been 5 or 6 breaths. So listen to how it feels for you to stay in it, or if you're staying in it longer. As I said, always space to come out of it as soon as you need to. Next exhale for depth. Next inhale to bring you out for those of you who are still in it. And on the next exhale, or inhale I should say, hands will take knees, we'll bring feet to the floor, heels down, then toes up, and maybe come onto fingertips behind you, just for an early setup for Navasana. We're not necessarily coming into the balance portion, but if you would like to, of course you're welcome to. Hands press down, heels press down, and as heels press down, inner thighs hug to center. And as we do both of those things, also hug heels towards sit bones and feel how that lifts the low back. You can stay here just like this for 3 breaths. You can practice lifting one shin parallel-ish to the floor or both. You can release hands forward if you are ready to dive into boat pose. Good. Keeping lifted and long, nice. Good. On the next exhale, let the heels come back down to the floor. Let the knees descend to one side, move hips to the other, and we're going to crawl forward here into a tabletop position. And so we've gotten here into the lowest portion of the body, into the hips, into the core. Coming here a little bit more into the heart space as we get ready to move into some cat-cow stretches. But feel into your body first, and as you come to this place of being ready for cat-cow stretches, just see that the fingers are spread wide. Maybe the heels are just a little bit light. And you can have the toes tucked or untucked. We'll add something to cat pose here in a little bit that we may want to have our toes tucked. It's a little less strain on the ankles. But move through with your breath. Here, the heart is melting and pressing forward. On the exhales, the back of the heart is rising as we push the hands down. Moving some of this isometric action here of hands hugging back to pull through. If you would like more cat, on your next exhale, as you find yourself rising up through the upper back more, press down into the hands, hug knees to chest to lift knees ever so slightly or a lot away from the floor. And so if you have your toes untucked, this is a deeper, very deep stretch through the fronts of the ankles, not necessarily there for everybody. The knees come back down as you move back into a cow stretch. The next exhale, again, if you like to, hands press down and away as you engage the core to heighten your cat, and maybe the knees lift away from the floor. Nice, everyone. On your next inhale from your next cat, come back to neutral. And here in neutral, you can either walk your hands all the way to the top of your mat and start to walk your feet back a little bit to take puppy pose. Tabletop from the hips down, down dog from the hips up, or if you're ready to rise up into down dog here, rise up to your first Adho Mukha Svanasana. I also like to use Sanskrit names. If any of those are confusing ever and not sure what I'm trying to say, just shout out and let me know. Move around in your down dog or your puppy pose. And we ultimately are going to come to the top of our mats. But we don't have to get out of puppy pose just yet. Good. On your next inhale, for those of you in puppy pose, do rise up to down dog or however you want to make your way to the top of your mat. Maybe making use of blocks as you land yourself at the top of your mat so that you can focus more on more deeply stretching the backs of the legs, if that is what feels like the hindrance in a deeper forward fold. If it is the back, then feel free to have the knees bent as much as you need to allow gravity to do some of the work, but stay strong through your core so that you are pulling yourself into it. You are drawing yourself in. And just like our twists, allow the breath to slowly bring you up and out a little bit, and the next exhale to take you in and down a little further. Good. And we'll all bring a little bit of a bend to both knees, and on the inhale, start to roll up the spine. As ears come over shoulders, shoulders come over hips, take a look down at your stance. See that your second toes are both pointing straight forward, and you can either be feet hips width distance if that feels more stable, or you can always bring feet to touch if you would like more fire or more effort in your balance. Good. We'll move through a sun salutation here. On the inhale, reach both arms up and overhead. Fall here as you ground down through the feet. Push down so much into the balls of the feet you can lift the toes, some of us a little bit, maybe a lot, some of us not at all, that's all right. And on the exhale, a little hinge from the hips as you bend from the knees to fold forward, Uttanasana once more. Moving with the breath, and as the exhale makes our bodies a little smaller with the contraction, we may come in a little further. And on your next inhale, come up just enough to step one foot back and then the other for your plank pose. Knees can be down in plank, that is perfectly fine. Good, heels press away. Crown of the head reaches forward. Really feel the pressure in the hands, relieving the wrists and moving more into the knuckle mounds and the fingers. And as the inner thighs stay light or lifting, slowly lower down to the floor. fully into pranam. Untuck the toes. Press the hands down as the elbows hug alongside you and the shoulders move down the back for Cobra Bhujangasana. And as we move through this practice, even if I'm not always leading it, in these flows, Chaturanga Dandasana and Up Dog are perfectly fine as well. Exhale to make your way back down to the mat. If you haven't done so already, press up through table or plank, your choice, your amount of fire and effort, back to down dog. 3 breaths. Maybe a little bit more in stillness and intentionally pressing through the inner thighs of both legs. So we're doing the same thing on both sides here. And on the next inhale, lift really high on the heels. You can walk, step, hop to the top of the mat. You can put more weight into the hands so there is a bigger jump or landing. Not for today, but maybe another day when there is a handstand practice. Good. Inhale, lift up a little. Exhale, fold in. And we'll all bring a bend to all of our knees, both sets of knees here for each of us. You can reach the hands alongside or to frame out the back of your head, so interlace the hands behind the head. If this feels uncomfortable in the forward fold, then you do not have to do this. We're playing a little bit with neck traction here. Interlace the hands, let the head push into the hands as the hands try to pull or draw the crown of the head more toward the floor. You can have the elbows a little bit wider if you want, that feels all right. And as we stand down into our feet, again, ground down through the big toe ball mounds, let the toes get light. Check in with the groundedness here to start, so groundedness to intuition, to expression. Notice how this feels and if this is good for your back, for your body. Start to push through the space behind the heart as you rise up, continuing to draw and lengthen the neck. Coming into a tall mountain, or as you reach hands to the sky. Good, and on the exhale, hands alongside the body. Taking a breath or two here. Everyone's necks feel all right today? Traction, maybe we can do a couple more times? Yes? All right, cool. On the next inhale, reach arms up and overhead. And on the exhale, sit back and down into your chair, Utkatasana. For those of you who are in Utkatasana, you're not at the top of your mat, come out of it real fast. Scoot a little bit higher to the top of your mat. Settle back down into your chair pose. And staying low in your chair, can you ground down more through the right foot? Let the left foot get light, or lift the left knee a little bit toward the chest. And then slowly, or as slowly as is right for you, balancing on your right foot and staying deep in your chair, start to extend that back leg back to land into your crescent lunge. We'll do that a few more times today. Hello quads, right? And stay heavy in that front foot. Deep into the lunge with the arms reaching up and overhead. Find your core. So there's a little bit of a contraction coming forward here through the front body. And as we contract through the front body, through our core, the heart is lifting a little bit more, maybe a lot more, to find a deeper, bigger, bolder expression of your crescent lunge. Good. On the exhale, hands come down to heart center. Back heel spins down. Open up into your warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. Nice. That outer hip on the front leg is hugging in and tucking under. Feet are hugging to center. Shoulder blades are hugging to center. Draw everything into your center and reach out and expand out. Good. On your next inhale, as we turn the front palm up, reach up, extend back, either stay deep in that front knee or intentionally come into a straighter leg for reverse triangle instead. Your choice and your option. And another thing that we can do here for some of us, because we're going to be getting into shoulders here, will be your back hand reaching back, turn the palm away from you, bend the elbow so the back hand, the back of the back hand presses into the low back. Yes, and then you're intentionally pushing into the low back, so we're getting more of an openness here through that shoulder. Some people may want to stay here in the half bind as we move back into Warrior Two, just through the front hand, front arm. That's perfectly fine. Come out of it if you need to with the back hand as you settle once more into Virabhadrasana 2. Good. On the inhale, press that front leg towards straight. Turn both feet parallel to face the non-brick wall. And then you're going to turn that back foot to the back of the room. That's our new front foot. Exhale, settle once more into Virabhadrasana 2. If you need to adjust the length of your stance through that, give yourself all the space you need to on the mat. And same thing, feet hug to center. New front outer hip hugs to center, tucks under ever so slightly. That back hip is opening. Nice. And on the inhale, front palm flips up, reach up, extend back. You can do reverse triangle on this side if the side needs to be different than the other. And after you've been here for another breath, if you would like to turn this into the half bind, your back hand turns away from you. Back of the back hand finds the low back, maybe way towards the opposite side. Pushes into it with intention so that we have a deeper opening through the front of the shoulder there. Good. Your inhale brings you back into whichever version of Warrior Two that you would like. Exhale to settle, and on your next inhale, we press that front foot down and away once again. Come back to center, facing the front or the soft wall over here. You can widen your stance a little bit for Prasarita Padottanasana. You can bring your feet closer, whether it's this class or any class you might ever have with me. You can, and you have a headstand practice, you are more than welcome to turn this into an inversion. Slightly pigeon toe the feet for our forward fold. And sticking here with traction, if it's right for your body, we're going to reach the arms out to our side, unless you're ready to move here already. Interlace the fingers behind the head. Find length through the neck as the shoulders press down. And as the inner thighs press back, hinge from the hips to come forward without support here. If you need the support, come out of this so that you are coming into this safely for you. Feeling into, sensing the midpoint. And maybe staying there as the head pushes back into the hands and lengthens, and maybe folding in a little more deeply still. And if this is too much on with your balance, feel free to bring your hands back down to the floor. Deepen it here if you would like to. Inner thighs press back even as we lean forward some. So that those resist what might take us into flopping over. Good. Those of you who are playing with inversions, stay here. You don't need to rush out of it. For everyone who still is doing neck traction, release your hands to the floor. Intentionally, very intentionally, press the hands into the floor as you try to push them down and away from you to send the heart to the space between the legs, between the knees. Now with more points of contact to the floor, notice what it is like to put more weight into the hands, more weight into the balls of the feet rather than the heels. Good. Groundedness. We've got 4 points of contact to the floor here. If it is right for you to come up with neck traction without support, check in with your body. Where is the map and where is your intuition? And whether you have hands giving support to the neck and traction or hands on the floor on your next inhale, start to press up through the back body to rise back up. Release your hands by your side. Keep your feet wide-ish. So coming into goddess pose here, All of our bodies are going to be a little bit different. The easiest thing that is for the dimensions in my body is to stay with my stance I just had, keep the toes right where they are, and just hug the heels in a little closer to center or walk them in a little closer to center. If that feels unstable, shorten your stance. Good. Hands can be along on the hips. You can reach arms up to the sky here if you would like to. On the back and down into a very, very wide chair. Come into goddess pose. You can keep the arms overhead. You can do a pull up as you pull the hands down. So we're getting more lift through the heart here in our goddess pose, Utthita Konasana. Yes, nice, intuition, moving, creative. Some people are flowing here already. Let yourself move as it feels right in your body. And I'll give us a little bit of guidance for anybody who would like to do a little bit more. If you would, bring yourself back to stillness. Bring your hands to heart center and following the movement of the breath. As the breath moves in and down, release the hands down toward the knees. As the belly expands, let the hands move wide and then reach the arms wide up and overhead on the exhale. Follow the up and up. On the inhale, through Anjali Mudra as you sit back and down a little deeper. Knees hugging to center, feet hugging to center. Follow the breath as you rise up. And the next one that we might do, if you would like to, as you sit back and down deeper with the breath, as you start to move the hands wide to lift, maybe lift the heels away from the floor, balancing on just the balls of the feet. And you can keep the heels lifted and move through another range of that, or you can re-ground down. Nice, everyone. Have a good day. It's all right. Take care of yourself. Good. The next time we come back to center, pause. Walk your feet towards center here for you. Heel toe your way, make your way toward the top of your mat, however you would like to get there. Grounded, once again, either feet hips width distance if you would like to, or a little closer here if you would like to. Reach the arms out wide. Good, out to the side here. Lift the palms on the breath. Feel how this lifts the fronts of the shoulders. Keep the fronts of the shoulders lifted, and just from the elbows down, spin palms down toward the floor. So we're staying lifted and full here through the chest, through the breath, through the heart. Then we'll do the opposite here on the next exhale, letting the palms turn down and away from us. Feel the shoulder blades lift and the front of your shoulders kind of collapse forward a little bit. Inhale back to neutral, so palms just forward. Let the palms lift. If the shoulders are lifting here, once again, keep that as you turn the palms down. And on the next exhale, we'll bend the elbows, bring the hands to the low back. Elbows hugging towards center. You can stay here. If you have a strap, you can take hold of the strap at about the outer shoulders width distance. If it's part of your practice, you can interlace the fingers. And as you interlace the fingers, hug the fingers into each other so that as you try to pull them apart, they don't really come apart. It'll deepen the stretch here through the front body, maybe making it a little bit easier to bring the heels of the palms to touch. And whether you're using a strap or you might have some version of the interlace on the next inhale as you continue to try to pull the hands apart or to tear the strap in two, extend out through the arms, lengthening. That will naturally send the head forward and maybe a little bit more lift through the heart. Can you keep the heart lifting and bring the ears back in line over shoulders? Good. So we're going to come into a forward fold here with us in just a second. You can stay there for a little longer if you want to. We'll take a little bit of a back bend here to start though. Can we more intentionally lift through the heart as the inner thighs press back, as the core stays strong, so that the hinging where the shoulder blades are keeps us pretty upright with our back bend. Good. Follow your breath and your intuition. Come up if you need to release the hands, do so. If it feels all right, We'll start to bend from the knees, or bend at the knees, hinge from the hips to bring more of belly to thigh as the interlaced fingers reach up to the sky. If you needed to take a break for that, come back to the re-interlace, make use of the strap for a bound forward fold. Nice. Got it, everyone. Grounded through the feet, heavy through all four corners of both feet, but in our forward fold, certainly more so in the balls of the feet. That becomes our break from us falling forward. On your next inhale, reach up through the interlaced hands. Reach up even more. That starts to draw you back up to standing. Release the interlace, shake out the hands, shake out the shoulders. Take a nice full breath in. How do shoulders feel today? Good? All right, nice. Find yourself at the top of your mat again if you aren't. We're going to do the same thing with our transition we did before from chair and staying low in chair for even more effort on that quad. Sitting back and down as the arms reach up, one movement into chair. This time, we're going to be putting all of our weight into the left foot as we stay deep in our chair. Let the right foot get light, or at least the heel get light, and as you stay low in the chair, send that right foot back into crescent. Rise up into your crescent, and if you know that you need support, lowering down to Anjaneyasana, to low lunge. Bring your hands down to blocks to frame it out to give yourself support. Otherwise, as we hug inner thighs to center and as we hug feet towards center, fire up your core even more as you bend that back knee straight down toward the floor for Anjaneyasana. We're going to be there for a little bit as we come down. If you need to give yourself support, place a blanket underneath that back knee. Good. Exhale, pull down with the hands in cactus arms as the heart stays lifted. Good. Nice. And for those of you who do not have your back knee down, if it is not right for you, I fully understand. Stay with the back knee lifted. Otherwise, you can adjust to bring that back knee down as you're ready to. Good. Heart lifts in our low lunge in our Anjaneyasana. From here with our cactus arms, which foot do we got forward here? We got the left foot forward, right? Mirroring. Left foot forward. We're going to bend the left elbow even more to bring the left hand to the upper back, to the nape of the neck. Right hand finds left elbow. And as the elbow pushes back up into the hand presses down, maybe guides a little bit more to center if the forearm isn't pushing the head forward. So can you keep the head pressing back? Exhale, you can deepen into that front knee even more than in crescent lunge because we've got extra points of contact to the floor. Good. On the inhale, undo the hands, frame out the foot, bring both hands to the inside of that front foot and walk that front foot a little bit wider to the edge of your mat for lizard lunge, Uttan Prasthasana. You can have the toes turned out a little bit if that is more accessible for you. You can stay up on the hands. You get to listen to your body and maybe slowly come down more toward forearms. The deeper we go, the more that knee wants to push wide. We don't want to resist that, but we do want to continue to hug to center so that we're doing the activation necessary for this adduction work. And for those of you who are moving into forearms, you can stay there, but we do want to come up onto the hands because that is going to be our support, right? This is like halfway into crow pose. So we're going to feel how it is to have that effort, that groundedness through the hands. Good. Some of you are already starting to move here toward letting that knee intentionally move even wider. If you're doing that, keep that front foot active so that we don't overstretch one side of the ankle or not, and you can reach left arm to the sky. Is that true? No, that isn't true. Hold on a second. The mirroring piece. Reach right arm to the sky to reach back for that back foot. Left. Oh, so I did have it right. I just wasn't standing on it right. I'm not used to doing both of these things all at once. If we're in a yoga class and laughing, that has to be a good thing. Reach back for your twisted monkey lunge with the knee opening more if you would like to. Again, a chance to check in with your body and what is right. The more that you grab onto that back foot and activate the biceps to close the gap, the foot tries kicking away, deepening the stretch across the front of the body. Good. The knee opening wide, all these things, all part of this expressiveness of the pose that we keep adding on to explore a little bit more. And on the inhale, unwind, untwist, unbind, bring both hands down. That back foot steps, or that front foot steps back. Stay here in table, move into Balasana. If you'd like to move into a Vinyasa flow, feel free to do so, but we're not going to go past down dog because we have a second side to do. Inhaling as you come forward, nice with chaturanga options, with up dog options. Good. If you're in child's pose, we will make our way here into down dog, or however it feels right for you, to step the opposite leg forward, the right leg forward, right, for Anjaneyasana side 2. Good. And with those back toes tucked, just so that we can feel a little bit on both sides, it is a little different. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. Stay in Anjaneyasana, of course, if you would like. But with those back toes tucked, same thing, feet hug to center, inner thighs hug to center, arms reach up, and can you stand through that back leg to lift knee into crescent lunge from your low lunge? Just so we're getting something even on both sides. If you don't want to do it, that is fine, because we have to make our way back down again. Good. Those of you who rose up into it, recollect yourself to your center, strong and fiery, and with control, exhale, slowly lower down to your Anjaneyasana. Turn the palms forward, and again, as you exhale, pull down to lift up through the heart. Whatever that front leg is, that is front there. That's the elbow that we're going to bend to find half Gomukhasana arms. So, opposite hand takes the elbow pushes up, the hand presses down. If we are deepening the stretch on that armpit, around the scapula, around the shoulder, the ball of the shoulder, back of the head pushes back as you keep lifting and extending up in your half Gomukhasana. Nice. Exhale a little deeper into the lunge if it's right for your body. And on the next inhale, unwind out of that through the hands. Bring both hands down to the inside of that front foot and take that front foot a little wider. Good. If you want to lower down deeper, do so. Create a little bit of that resistance with the front knee and front inner thigh hugging to center. And nice with the breath. Continue to lengthen. Even with that back knee down, we're still pushing out through the back heel. For those of you who are on the tops of that back foot, can you just take a look back to see that your toes are pointing more straight back instead of sickling in the foot? If it is hard to undo the sickling, bend the toes just so we keep that leg, ankle, knee in line. Or we're just hugging the outer ankle of that back foot to center to try to undo the sickling. Nice corrections there. Great, everybody. If you're lower toward the floor, start to rise back up. The hand opposite the front foot is going to stay on the ground. The other one is going to reach up. That back knee bends, heel to sit bone, so it's active. We're stretching the quad to do so. We're reaching back with the hand, and we're activating the bicep to deepen the stretch, and both of those things working against each other ultimately gives us more space to deepen the twist. More of heart to the brick wall, maybe gaze starts to go up to the sky. Maybe that front knee starts to move wide, keeping your foot active and grounded in the front, which is starting to look like maybe just 2 points of contact and not all 4 corners of the heel of the foot. Nice. On your next in-breath, start to unwind, frame out the foot, press yourself back again, either for a vinyasa or a pause, but this time our vinyasa is going to take us all the way to mountain pose at the top of the mat. Inhale forward to plank, exhale to the floor, inhale for the back bend, exhale back to the floor, inhale to down dog, exhale to settle in down dog, both knees, both legs in the same plane doing the same thing. And for those of you who are in your down dog, if you know you're just going to walk to the top of your mat, do so. If there's a possibility of playing with jumping and other such things, put more weight into the hands, spread out the fingers, grip the mat, nice bend to the knees as you launch yourself, thinking hips up to stack over top of the wrists rather than jumping forward. Nice. Exhale to fold in. Some people are doing some ragdoll style. You can do the neck traction or the traction thing again if you would like to, and if that is a safe way for you to rise up into your Tadasana, mountain pose. Good. Release hands by your side to find your mountain. The palms spin forward. Find your Tadasana. Very intentionally pausing here to check in. And on the next inhale, again with one movement, as the arms reach up, sit back and down into your chair. As you find yourself back and down in your chair, Utkatasana. Put more weight into the right foot. Practice lifting the left heel, the ball of the left foot. Maybe knee hugs to chest as you open the knee wide to find figure 4 in your chair pose. Sitting down a little deeper if you can, coming up a little higher if you need to. For those of you who want to stay here, if that's a thing that people want to do, we can take a twist in this version of chair. If you do not want to come into a twist in this version of chair, we're going to come back to regular chair. But in your figure 4, as we find ourselves in Anjali Mudra, we're going to connect same side elbow to same side arch of the foot. All right, so left elbow to left arch of the foot. Thinking someday in the future, grasshopper pose doesn't have to be. We're all here for it though. Nice, everyone. Inhale to come out of the twist. If you can, with control, and there's still that strength in that standing foot, rise up to stand with that left leg in Padangusthasana A, extending the toes out and forward, and using your full exhale to slowly bring the leg back down to the floor. Shake out the standing leg. We got a second side to do. Good. Once more, initiating and doing both movements at the same time. Inhale as you reach up and sit back into your chair. Good. As you sit a little deeper into your exhale, we're now going to put more weight into the left foot. And on the inhale, let the right heel lift, the right ball of the foot lift. Maybe hug the right knee to chest. Knee opens wide as we find figure 4 chair once again. Letting this side be what it needs to be, either a deeper seat or not. And if you would like to take the twist on On the inhale, lengthen through the spine. Sit bones tuck and reach back as the crown of the head reaches forward as we twist to have right elbow into the arch of the right foot. Now the wall's there to catch us. That's a nice thing to have. Use your breath to listen in. And on the next inhale, as we start to unwind, if you can stay on that standing leg, knee lifts, like Padangusthasana A variation with the knee bent, or extend out through the heel, doing even more core work to support yourself, and using your full exhale to lower that foot down toward the floor. Releasing your hands by your sides, shaking out both legs, shaking out the shoulders, everything. Nice. Good. If you know that you would like to have blocks at the top of your mat to support yourself through Warrior 3, have those at the top of your mat. Good. It's the same thing we did just a second ago, but without all the twisting and the figure 4 stuff happening. Exhale, sit back and down into the chair. We're going to start with more weight into the right foot. Either staying low in your chair, hug left knee to chest, or just let that left foot be light. There'll be a different height for your pose on either of those. With the knee hugging to chest, start to hinge forward as you reach forward or bring your hands to the blocks for a more supported Warrior 3. Maybe definitely making use of the blocks that helps you to let the head drop just a little bit, to look down the front of the body and see that the toes are pointing straight down and not hip opening. For those of you who are reaching to the front of the room, keep reaching to the front of the room. Keep sending your energy to the front of the room as you start to bend that standing leg to bring that back foot to the floor with maybe a little bit more control. Good. Nice. Exhale into your crescent lunge. Inhale to reach, lengthen, rise up in your crescent lunge. And on the next exhale, frame it out. Step back to three-legged dog, immediately taking that former front leg up and back. Starting here, again, letting the head drop just enough to see the leg is extending back without the hip opening to start. And then if there is space to do that, bend the knee to open the hips. Think hip stacking, but keep lifting the opposite side shoulder. So push down more into that hand. Nice. Some people will stay here. You're in a little bit of a crunch spot there with the wall and the floor and the things around you. If you would like to flip your dog into Wild Thing, you are welcome to do so. But we come down on the ball of the foot, keep the heel lifting so the hips are pressing towards the sky. And you can reach forward, you can bring a hand to the heart. Somebody here is playing with traction through the neck. Nice with the options, everybody. What feels right for you in your body. Good. On the inhale, unwind out of it. Coming back to your down dog. Walk, step, hop, jump to the top of the mat. Slowly roll up the spine. Then we're going to ground down through the right foot. Lift the left knee back to this modified Padangusthasana A. Take the knee a little wider. And with your hand, take hold of the foot, bring sole of the foot to the shin for tree pose, Vrikshasana. That foot can be on the floor. Nice. Harder to find our grounding, but do so pushing to that big toe ball mount. Check in with yourself and from this place of stability, if you like to reach the arms up, if you like to reach the arms wide, if there's crescent stretch you'd like to do here in your tree, let yourself Move with where your body is drawn to move. Nice. On the inhale, bring your hands back to Anjali Mudra. On the exhale, bring that foot back down to the floor and find your stance on both feet once more. Good. Moving through that one more time, second side though. Exhale, sitting back and down into your chair. Grounding down into the left foot this time, is that right? Letting the right foot get lighter. Or not, sliding back. Hinge forward as you extend out through that back heel, either bring the hands to the floor or blocks if you need support in your warrior three. It's great to start from that and then to move toward one hand on blocks and then no hands on blocks as you strengthen your ability to balance and your awareness of what it takes to balance here like this. And for everyone who's reaching forward, keep reaching forward, lift a little bit more through the chin and a little bit more through the heart like a small cow stretch. Keep reaching and reaching forward as you bend your front knee to bring that back foot to the floor. Inhale, rising up, crescent lunge. Nice strong poses here, everybody. Exhale to deepen through the lower part of the pose. The next inhale, lengthen, maybe a little bit of that cow stretch again as you reach up and get taller. Not because the shoulders have come off the back and we're reaching higher, but because we found more space between each of our vertebrae, between the ribs. And on the exhale, frame it out. That front foot extends back to three-legged dog. Your three-legged dog maybe starting with it just as three-legged dog. Then with intention, the knee bends and opens. And as that knee opens, the opposite side shoulder keeps lifting, getting to a place where you may flip your dog into Wild Thing. May, not because of permission, but might is a better word. Good, and any variation in your Wild Thing. Placement of the hands, nice. Inhale, following your breath to come back to down dog. Lowering foot to the floor. Maybe knees to the floor if you would like to take a pause. Maybe moving through a flow. Again, your flow or your pause will ultimately bring us all back to the top of the mat. Through Uttanasana into mountain pose. All right, so I need a strap so I can show this here real fast. All right. As you find and settle your next exhale into your mountain pose, which is very active and intentional, just let yourself stand. Nothing extra that needs to be right now. One of these is already open. Cool. How are hips? How's balance? How's shoulders? Nice? All right, cool. So earlier this week I had a request for Natarajasana. We're not coming fully into it here. We're coming into something called Baby Dancer with the possibility of turning this into Ardha Chandra Chapasana. There we are, sugar cane in the moonlight. One of the translations, I don't know how that happens, what those words mean or what it is necessarily, but it is a very beautiful and is a very expressive pose. So we have the blocks to give us support with our balance, especially for this transition. Even if you're not a person who typically uses the blocks, it is really helpful. And make sure, can people see on camera over there? Can I pop on here real fast for you? Sorry, just make sure. So we played here with our Warrior Three. We have the blocks. The transition that happens, whether we're in Warrior Three or whether we're in Baby Dancer, is that we have this leg like fully locked, I guess as they say in some places, but at least very engaged and strong, is that gives less mobility through the hips. And so as we move through this, A nice bend to that standing leg gives a lot more freedom for the hips, gives us some space to move things around on our mats as we might need to, so that we can come to a place of using the block to then come into opening, right? So if we're here with baby dancer, a little bit of hinge from the hips, bring the towel way in here, a little hinge from the bend at the knee, to come forward through our baby dancer, bring the hand to the floor or the block. We can walk the block a little bit wider, put a deeper bend through that standing leg, and then it's not just knee opening wide, but it's our entire body twisting to extend out and back, and maybe come to a place where we feel like, I don't need the block, maybe I don't need the block. Maybe here with balance like we're on a tightrope, all right? You can make use of a strap there for that if that's the easier option for you. Thank you. Any questions? Cool. As I often say in other classes, I don't have an answer for why, so just don't ask the why question. Why are we doing this? Because it was a thing that I thought about. So if you know and love baby dance, right, we'll practice with that first. You can make use of the strap, and it is, I guess we should still do the crossover, the X. If you know that you need the strap, we stand, it'll be right foot ball, not arch of the foot. Walk through. Actually, maybe, I don't know, the strap actually feels weird that way. If you know it, go for it. I don't know, my body's like, I don't know what it's doing. You want a strap? There you are. You're welcome. So we're going to start standing on the left foot. Have your blocks out in front of you if you know you're going to at least have them there to give you moral support, if nothing more than that. Standing into the, let's see, mirroring and not mirroring is really crazy here. Stand into the right foot. We'll bend the left knee, unless you did the other side and I'd mess this all up. Left hand finds left ankle. The foot stays flexed. We're trying to unkick the knee, or trying to kick the knee, unbend it, and so it's going to pull down more on the shoulder. Opposite arm to the sky. That's what we'll go with, opposite arm. Good. Foot tries kicking away, so there's a little bit of a cow stretch lifting here through the heart. Put a bend in that front knee, in that standing leg, as you hinge from the hips to reach forward. That inner thigh on the right leg keeps lifting. On the left leg, whatever it is. This is terrible today. Good. Then with the blocks there, a little bit deeper bend through that standing leg. And it's not just knee opening wide, but it is the entire torso twisting, the hip socket rotating here with the leg as the foot continues to try kick away. Adjusting the block wider if you need it, closer if you need it, not at all if you don't need it. Then if we're in Shavasana, we release the back leg with control, groundedness, intuition, into expression as you're here in half moon. Front knee bends, hips swivel, so you come back to Uttanasana, top of your mat. Both feet to the floor. Good. On the inhale, you can roll up the spine, however you would like to get up to mountain pose. Intentionally land in mountain pose, and then release just to stand. Good. Questions, anything about it now that we've done it on one side? How did it feel on the hips? All right? We'll take a look and see. Sometimes that bottom foot wants to turn out a little bit with our direction. Everyone looked really good though. We have two sides. Sometimes the second side is easier because it's our easier side. Sometimes it's easier because we've done it once already. So come back to mountain. Bring engagement into your stance and intention into your stance. We're going to do the opposite side. Bend the opposite knee from the last time. Good. Foot tries kicking away. Stay strong in your one-legged stance here. As the foot continues to kick away, put a little bend in that standing leg so you can hinge from the hips and reach forward like you're lowering down through baby dancer. Give yourself the moment to be there in your baby dancer. Then again, a deeper bend through that front knee as we bring our hands to the blocks to twist and open the body away from the standing leg. Foot continues to try to kick away a little more stronger. Now there's a back bend happening here from knee through the hips, hips through the torso on that side. Nice. On the inhale, with control, with groundedness, release the grip on that back leg, open through half moon. Good. Standing leg bends so that we can swivel through the hips and come back to Uttanasana. Let the knees bend as much as you need to. Take ragdoll here through the body if that's better for you. Nice. Mariel's got a good strong class here. We all knew this already, right? Good. So we'll be generally seated. We're gonna bring in crow pose here real fast, and then we will find ourselves where else we need to be. Move yourself halfway back to the mat. And actually, for some people who want to have a seat first, or just stand where you are. So I've only ever taught like crow pose as the arm balance or on your back, which is no support at all through the arms. But this last weekend with Khalif was talking about crow and a different sort of prep for crow, which keeps us even more active with our core and starts to bring more of our attention to balance without being on our arms, is to be seated upright here like in Navasana pose. One knee coming in, other knee coming in, and doing the balance work that you need to just balance on sit bones. There's still a lot that is happening here through core work. We're still finding a little bit of that roundedness through the body, and this is a really, what I came to learn anyway, right? Was a really sweet intermediary space between here to coming to here to ultimately being able to come to here. So you have those three options to take. If you are interested in or preferences to be on your back for this or to do the balance on your sit bones, stay seated. If you're interested in coming into the arm balance, come back up to stand or come into down dog, because we can step forward through down dog. So on your back, setting up almost like for happy baby, or seated on the sit bones like in Navasana where we started in the beginning of the practice. I connected those two things. Thank you, Shreya, for asking for that. I was like, things firing and connecting. From your down dog, if you're coming into the arm balance, you're gonna take one leg up to the sky, three-legged dog, take a big step out like you're coming into lizard lunge. Then that other foot also has to step forward to land in Malasana. Garland pose. Nice with the options here, people. From your garland pose, knees hug to center. If you can get knees hugging to the outer shoulders, outer triceps, that's great. If you can get knees into the armpits, that's another option to take for your transition into this. Hands ultimately find the floor from our garland pose. We unbend the knees, so we're lifting and tilting forward more, so we're just starting to put some more pressure into the hands. Notice how it feels there. And then if you would like to, play with lifting one foot heel to sit bone, maybe lowering it back down and switching. Maybe doing both. Good catch. Also, another fun thing that Khalif said was that if you aren't falling out of your pose sometimes, then you might not actually be in it. Nice. The block is really nice there for you, Shreya? Cool. Nice. When you're done, when your hands are done, when your shoulders are done, come back down to feet on the floor. Nice with the jump back. Nice, everybody. And as we sit back on the heels, we're going to extend our feet forward to the front of the room. Move flesh around from side to side if you need to. You can sit up on a block if you want as well. I'm going to do more of the hip opening and we'll bring together the arms for Gomukhasana. So if you know that you need a strap to give yourself support in going into full Gomukhasana with the arms, you can do so. Good. Keep the right leg extending out. Draw the left knee in toward chest. Foot stays on the floor. Almost like we're setting up for a different posture. We're going to take that left foot across the right knee and just keep on walking that foot off to the side. It's coming into half Gomukhasana on the legs. As you come further out, right, so it's knee on top of knee, just keep on walking that foot even further out like we've got Camden here doing. Keep that foot flexed so that the ankle isn't being overly stretched or necessarily touching the floor. This might be as far as you go. Half Gomukhasana. Once we do the bottom leg, then we might find ourselves a little wonky all over the place. Ultimately, we want our focus to be on the stretch for that hip, and so we don't need to do both sides because we're going to do both sides in the end here. So now we lean a little bit more toward the right side so we can bend the right knee so that it comes over toward the left. I think I'm getting my left and rights here. Everyone's legs is still connected to their bodies. Good. Nice, and whatever that top leg is, I'm going to place the strap into that hand, reach both arms up to the sky. Whatever that top leg is, that's the elbow that bends. You can let the strap hang down the back if you would like to. You can stay here, half Gomukhasana through the legs, half Gomukhasana through the arms if you would like. There's a tendency to lose our fire and to start to turn this into a back bend. Stay strong like you're contracting and pulling yourself forward as the heart lifts. That hand that's pressing into the elbow reaches out wide, palm turns away. We bend the elbow to reach back like we did in our Warrior Two earlier in the practice. Before you go any further, hand presses into the back so that the shoulder can lift up and move down so it stays very grounded here. That bottom hand can take hold of the strap. It can slowly start to walk its way up the back or up the strap, maybe finding the fingers of the top hand. And whether you have the elbow wide or more in line with the shoulders, if you would like to, try pulling the elbows apart from each other for a deeper stretch. We'll be here for just 3 more breaths if you would like to. You can start to fold forward in your Gomukhasana. There's a tendency for the head to release. Can the head keep pushing into the forearm? So it is the body hinging forward, trying to avoid cow stretch too much. It naturally happens in our forward folds. That's all right. We were in some very deep cow stretches earlier. That's not, or cat and cow. That's not what we're looking for. Again, we're probably past 3 breaths. On the inhale, you can slowly press yourself back up. Undo the hands. For those of you who are in full Gomukhasana and you've been in class with me before, you know what I like to do here. We're walking the hands toward the top leg foot, pressing into the fingers and pushing into the edges of both feet to lift the hips. Walk yourself in a big circle behind yourself, and when you land in the front, you're on the other side. Or we start from scratch. Whatever we need to. And so it is a fun and expressive, but not necessarily graceful way of getting into it. So adjust as you need to, including if you need to come out of it and reset. I'd keep the edges of the feet active once again. So we're looking out for our ankles today for December when it's icy and slippery. Again, whatever that top leg is, as you reach both arms up to the sky, that top leg is the arm or hand that has the strap. Then the elbow, find the connection to the upper back, and then open the neck wherever it happens to be on the side. We were in it for about 5 or 6 breaths, so there's plenty of space to deepen and to deepen wherever the stretch needs to be. If you're staying here, half through the legs or half through the arms, stay just as you are. Otherwise, the hand is pressing into the elbow. Now we take that to the side, palm turns away, elbow bends, coming up to the low back to start. Reintegrate, restabilize, reground, and strengthen yourself in your half or your Gomukhasana. You can deepen that for that back hand that starts to walk up the shirt, up a ponytail, up a strap, whatever it might be. And again, if it feels right for you and you would like to, either elbows pulling apart to deepen the stretch or hinging from the hips, bringing more of belly to thigh rather than nose to knee. Good. I didn't say on the other side, but we're all good at this. Push knees in toward the floor muscularly so that energy helps to help you to lift and rise up instead of just making the back do the work. We've been doing a lot with our back, doing some work and lifting up against gravity. Nice. No fancy way of coming out of it. Just release the hands, lean back as much as you need to extend the legs out and shake them out. Good. Bend the knees as if you're going to come into Navasana or boat pose, but keep the feet grounded. We're going to come into reverse table here, Purvottanasana. Deep stretch through the whole front side of the body. Depending on how your hands, your wrists, and your shoulders feel, either fingers are pointing away from each other, that is more spacious through the body, or you can have the palms or the fingers pointing in the same direction of the toes. That's the same thing that's happening when we were doing this, right? So there's a lot of contraction through the front body and a lot of internal rotation. As you stand down and press down from shoulder blades, through the arms, through the elbows, into the hands. Stand down through the feet. Let the knees reach forward as the hips lift to the sky. Keep your gaze down the front side of the body to start. Thighs hug to center. Feet stay parallel. You can walk your right foot in just the ball of the foot just a smidge. Yeah. Very slight, very slight. Good. On the next exhale, lower down. We'll do that one more time. When we're coming up to it, if you would like to, and start to get even more into the neck here, we're going to do shoulder stand, or the bridge into shoulder stand for some people in a second. When we're rising up, instead of just letting the head fall back. So here's me talking, and now this is what, like, it's cutting off blood flow, I can't even speak in this way. We're looking down the body, and we're continuing to find length through the spine. It's back of the head, crown of the head reaching back, long through the cervical spine, and then letting the chin tilt up so that it doesn't affect the windpipe, it doesn't affect blood vessels through the neck like this does. So if you're coming back into it, be really strong, like you're trying to push the head into the wall in the back of the room, and then the tilt happens through the chin, all right? Find your setup. Maybe you did hands, fingers pointing away from each other, and you want to try fingers pointing in the same direction as the toes. Feel free to do so. But press down through the arms, stand through the feet, rise up into Purvottanasana, reverse table. Activate the glutes to keep the hips a little higher, then push more into the hands so the glutes can release. Reach the crown of your head to the back of the room. Find length from sacrum out through the crown of the head, and maybe the chin tilts up if you would like to. Nice. When you're ready to come out of it, untilt the chin, lower back down, lower onto your backs, but keep the knees bent. So we'll come into bridge pose. I'll give us some cues for it. Your bridge pose can become restorative with a block underneath. Some people may want to turn this into shoulder stand, Salamba Shirshasana, as I mentioned, whether it's bridge, Salamba Shirshasana, or the possibility of taking legs up, right? Viparita Karani. We don't turn the head, so our gaze stays up to the sky without turning the head from side to side. Doesn't matter what anyone's doing beside you. Bring the elbows alongside the body, heels closer to the sit bones if you can. Hug shoulder blades to center so you find this lift through the heart. Nice there, Camden. And as you stand down through the feet, press down through the triceps, push into the shoulder blades, push into the back of the head. Good. Thighs continue to hug the center. There's a tendency for those to move out when we're in any kind of a back bend. And you have some options. Some people are doing it already. You can lengthen the arms with the length of the arms, pressing down for more support. You can interlace the fingers for a bound bridge. And if you're doing bound bridge and you would like to stay in the bind when you come out of it, that is one of my favorite stretches through the shoulders and through the upper arms, but it is definitely not for everyone. If you know and love Salamba Shirshasana or shoulder stand, back of the head is pressing down, shoulder blades are hugging to center. It is shoulder stand, not neck stand, so the neck stays lifted. True in Vipariti Karani as well. Keep hugging elbows to center if you're coming into shoulder stand. Keep the toes reaching to the sky. For those of you who are in shoulder stand, if you are aware of and know Matsyasana or fish posture, that is a nice counter pose for the neck. I can guide you through it in a second here if you would like. You can stay in your Vipariti Karani if you would like to. It's a nice supported inversion. For those of you who are in shoulder stand though, as you're coming out, feel yourself into mountain pose on your back. So the feet, legs are together, palms are spun up. We can tilt a little bit to one side to take left hand underneath left glute or left thigh. We can roll a little bit to the opposite side, so we can take right hand under right glute or right thigh. And as we push into the elbows, we lift through the chest. And as we lift through the chest, same thing as in our Purvottanasana, neutral through the neck. And as we find neutral to the neck, then we tilt the chin up to bring the crown of the head to the floor. Nice. All right, you came out of it already, cool. Nice, if you're in Vipariti Karani, bring your feet back down to the floor, remove blocks from wherever you are. Walk your feet as wide as the mat. Bring the knees to touch. Let both knees descend to one side with control. We want to start to twist the whole body. When the knees move to the right, can you stay heavier on the left shoulder blade? And when the knees move to the left, can you stay heavier or more grounded on the right shoulder blade? The upper part of the body is staying in shape, in the same shape that it was. The other parts are what is doing the twisting and moving. Right, if the shoulders start to lift as well, then we're just turning rather than twisting. I just want to clear out anything in our backs, in our neck, in our spine. And the next time you come up from your second side, pause, undo the legs. I saw some Garudasana legs here. Nice, everyone. Allow yourself to settle out into your version of Shavasana. Maybe you return to the Baddha Konasana legs or the cobbler's pose legs from the beginning of class. With each breath, we'll be in this for a little bit longer than I typically am, but 90 minutes is a long class. With each exhale, let your body settle more deeply inside. Be aware of, at the beginning, the boundary between your body and the air around you. And if that helps you to stay grounded, stay in that space of being aware of yourself and sensations with the breath and the changing shape of the body with the breath. You can also let this be a little bit more meditative and start to draw your awareness away from the edges of yourself. A little less aware of the sensation of the body on the mat. Maybe my voice starts to sound a little bit more distant. As you draw more deeply into yourself or into stillness. Let your next breath be deeper than the last. And your next breath deeper still. Letting the flow of that new prana, that new fresh air, new life force help to spread and expand out your consciousness to fully, head to toe, reintegrate yourself. And as the breath brings our awareness again through every part of ourselves, start to make little movements that feel right for your body. Little movements that reawaken. If you would like to make some bigger movements, you can extend your legs out. If you haven't met any other variation, bring the legs to touch, reach the arms overhead, stretch toe tips away from fingertips on the inhale, and on the exhale, stretch heels away from fingertips. Inhale, toes away from fingertips once more. And on the exhale, draw knees and elbows to your center, giving yourself a nice big hug, Upasana, if that's part of your practice. Maybe it's happy baby. Maybe there's a little bit of rocking left and right as you massage out anything you might notice on the back body. Knees in closer, knees in farther away changes where the pressure is. You can either roll off to one side and push yourself up to a seat, or you can rock and roll right on up to come to your easy seat, Sukhasana, or Siddhasana if you would like to, and it feels like there's some more mobility here through the hips. Whatever the foot is that's farthest away from you, that heel is the midline of the body. The foot that's closer, that ankle, connects to the heel through the front side of the body, the midline. So our knees are a little bit wider apart. And you can come back to hands resting palms down or palms up, or coming back to Anjali Mudra. 3 breaths here just to notice as you return to this very familiar pose from just 90 minutes ago. The subtle and sometimes not so subtle shifts and changes in the asana portion, the mindful movement portion of yoga. One of just 8 ways of experiencing and living the tenets of yoga. You can continue to be here with your breath and with this exploration and simply listen to the sound of one Om. Or if you'd like to join in with me, exhale completely to inhale fully. The light in me bows to the light in each of you. Namaste, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Thank you, Camden, for demoing. Thank you, Melissa, for assisting. As I said, Meryl is back next week. I'm back to just a normal schedule after teaching 5 classes this past week. So Mondays at 6:30 for 75 minutes, all levels class. Wednesday at 12 for the intermediate class.